Gas prices certainly are low in my neck of the woods these days. Nation's unemployment rate falling to 8.6% in November, lowest in 2.5 years. Private sector creating jobs for 21 consecutive months now. Is this a big win for President Obama? On the left, Marc Morial, president and CEO of the National Urban League. And on the other side, Ron Christie, founder and CEO of Christie Strategies. He comes to us from Harvard's Kennedy School. Ron, let me begin with you. These numbers today, 8.6%, 21 months of jobs growth, lowest unemployment rate since March of '09. The president's reelection is assured now, isn't it?
Hardly is that going to be the case. Look, I'm very encouraged by these numbers. I think it indicates that there are a number of people, particularly in the private sector, who've sought employment that have been able to get back to work, but there's still much more we can do. I'm discouraged by the number of people who gave up looking for a job. That was 300,000. You're talking about the population of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So while we did get some more folks back to work, I'm discouraged by the number of people who said, you know what, in this climate, either a part-time job or a full-time job isn't for me. I'm going to bow out. So that's the downside.
How helpful is this, Mayor Morial, to the president's reelection prospects, number one, and address Mr. Christie's point there about the number of discouraged workers who've pulled out?
Well, certainly, I think the most important message is that this underscores why extension of unemployment benefits and a continuation of the payroll tax cut are very important, because while this is an important step in the right direction, we can't do anything to lessen consumer demand. We can't do anything that's going to cause more people to certainly lose their jobs and lose their work. So it's a mixed message today, but when you have 21 straight months of jobs growth, it is a good thing, and the economy's not growing fast enough. And that's why in the holiday season we say, let's extend these unemployment benefits and let us make sure that this payroll tax cut stays in place so that 113 million families can continue to benefit from it.
I want to get to the tax cut in just a minute, because that's certainly a really rich node there. But Mayor Morial, on the specific question of extending unemployment benefits, at what point do you stop extending unemployment benefits? They have been extended multiple times to the point now where people are receiving benefits for upwards of 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the factor that exists today is that you have many, many more people who are unemployed for much longer periods of time. Keep in mind that people who may have received unemployment benefits in 2008 and haven't returned to work, they're no longer receiving benefits. So this extension is for many people who became unemployed more recently than that. And the important thing is that when you extend unemployment benefits, it helps the economy, because people spend money on shoes for their kids, on bread, on clothing, on the necessities of life. So the benefit is not only for those who are unemployed, but it also helps to stimulate the economy from a consumer demand standpoint, and that's got to be part of the understanding.
Ron, Mayor Morial makes a couple of good points there. Number one, the extension of unemployment benefits goes right into people's pockets, and they spend it for the things they need or want. Number two, he makes the point, an interesting one, that the duration of unemployment is longer today. Therefore, it makes more sense to extend unemployment benefits to levels or to durations far longer than we'd been accustomed to. What do you say the point is at which unemployment benefits ought to end?
Well, I think it's a very difficult case. I think 99 weeks is certainly very compassionate and very generous by the federal government and the state governments combining to allow people the opportunity to survive, to provide for their children, and also to look for a job. It's a very difficult position for me to say at week 100 you're no longer deserving, whereas at week 99 you are. I think that's an honest debate that needs to be had not only in the state houses around the country, but in Washington, D.C. of at what point do we say enough is enough? But given the severity of this recession, I do believe that we need to have a safety net for those who are least fortunate.
I got 1 minute left. Ron, let's talk about the extension of the payroll tax cut. The Republicans don't want it to be paid for in any way, no how, with a little surcharge on millionaires. Do you think we're going to get a payroll tax cut next year? And if so, how's it going to be paid for?
Well, I think that we will have one. I think the debate is certainly, do we continue not only to add to the deficit, but in this particular case, you're taking money that is not coming from the general revenue, but you're taking money that is supposed to be set aside for Social Security. So why are we going to, A, blow a hole in Social Security, and B, tax those high earners at 3.25 3.25% for a temporary extension. But you're going to charge these folks for 10 years? No. I think we'll find offsets. I think it'll be paid for. But the way that the president and the Senate Democrats went about this was more political. Right. And I think at the end of the day, it'll pass.
Mayor Morial, react there. We seem to be talking past one another here.
It's a fair way to pay for the extension of unemployment benefits, to place a small surcharge on 300,000 Americans so that 113 million families can benefit. And by paying for it, it doesn't affect the deficit. So it's fair when, in fact, we've spent a decade cutting taxes for the wealthy. We've also cut programs that benefit the least of the American citizenry. So this is a fair way to do it, and it'll affect a very, very small group of Americans to benefit 113 million
Ron Christie, thank you very much. Mayor Morial, LSU or Georgia on Saturday?
Hey, you know I'm going with those Tigers all the way.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Soup.